ask you to get your pens out, get ready to take some notes. How to gain 100 extra minutes a day is something that everybody wants, and time is so precious today, and so many times people go through life week by week, month by month, and they really don't look at time the way they could. And I want to open your mind to that, because I believe from a payoff perspective, the more effective we use our time, the more results that we're going to get, the more of life we're going to get. Here's something to look at. 168 hours in a week. If you ever really step back and think about that there's literally 168 hours in every week. Inside that 168 hours, here's the way I break it down. Most people sleep for about 50 hours. Now you can say give or take a little bit more or less, but let's just say in round numbers 50. And then if you took the number 18 just as a round number and said 18 hours for maintenance, that's brush your teeth and putting your clothes on, you take that 18 minus the 50 minus from the 168, you end up with 100 hours. That 100 hours we have to spend, and most of us spend 50 or 60 of our hours each week on our careers, and then the rest of the time we spend personally. And I'm going to ask you to think about that with me as we go through this particular module, and we're tuning up our ability to be more effective with our time. So 4 subjects we're going to talk about. Part 1, we're going to talk about prioritization, and we're going to talk about really avoiding and dealing with procrastination. And then part 2, I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about organization, and I'm going to talk about delegation. So we got those 4 areas. So let's jump into prioritization right now. I'm going to go through each one of these concepts. I'm going to bring them to life for you, and I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, are you really being the best you can be leveraging each one of these concepts? So number 1, set priorities with your high leverage activities. Make sure that every day that you're making a list and that you're really prioritizing the things that are congruent and aligned with your high leverage activities. Let me just mention, high leverage activities are the activities that you've thought about that when you do those things day in and day out, they would lead you towards the accomplishment of what you really want to make happen. Now you'll notice on the screen that you see a phone. What I really believe is this: if we really want to leverage our time the very best we can, we've got to eliminate unproductive tasks. We've really got to be focusing on the right things. And I'm asking you, are you using your phone as a tool to help you look at your list so that you're really zeroing in and taking action on the things that are most important to you? So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is I'm going to ask you to take a few moments, if you haven't written down your high leverage activities, to do just that. I'd like you to think about the 4 or 5 or 6 primary activities where you get the highest leverage. And if you want to divide it into 2 areas, on the personal side, feel free to do that, and the professional side, you can do that. So I'm going to ask you to pause for a moment and write down the activities that you want to do most of the time, so that they really do drive the very best things that you want to accomplish personally and the very best things that you want to drive professionally. Number 2, having a strong agenda tied to your clear objectives when you have meetings. I go around the world. I coach the top companies to be even better. This is a question I often ask. How good are your meetings on a 1 to 10 basis? And what's the number? I find this happening day in and day out. Most companies say their meetings are a 5 on a 1 to 10 basis. How are your meetings? How are the meetings that you're leading? How are the meetings that you're part of? Are they a high enough number that you're really happy with that? Or do your meetings need to be more effective? And I'm suggesting one of the ways that we can be more effective with our time is to make sure that we have a good agenda. Now, as a takeaway though, a big takeaway that I share with people when I am doing meeting effectiveness is I ask this question here: what's more important, the objectives or the agenda? And people have to think about it, just like I'm asking you to think for a minute. And most people come back and say, well, the objectives are actually more important, and that is true. So I encourage you, as a takeaway from today, is to say, when you're going into a meeting, you're granting a meeting, whether it's on the phone or in person, in order to leverage and manage your time the very best you can, make sure you're clear on your objectives and that you have an agenda that would help you reach those objectives. Now, the agenda can be informal or it can be formal. That means simply if you've got a phone call and you've got a meeting going on, you could simply say, hey, here's 3 things I think we should go over in order to maximize our call. And if you do that, what I found is oftentimes a 15-minute phone meeting will roll down into 10 or 12 minutes, and you save yourself 3 minutes here, 4 minutes here, 5 minutes or 6 minutes, and you do that many times a day, and pretty soon you've saved yourself an hour or 2 hours a day, and that adds up. Let's go to number 3. Identify when your high energy times are. We all have different cycles in our life, depending on your age, depending on if you're male or female. Think about for you, when's the time that you're really energized? Is it in the morning Do you get a surge right after lunch? Are you a nighttime person? I really believe being able to understand that can be so impactful on the results you get with your time. So step back and understand that. And then as you're scheduling important, high-impact activities, schedule those around your high-energy time. So if there's things that you need to negotiate, things that you want to sell, ideas you want to sell, meetings that are really important, put yourself in a scheduling momentum, if you will, a scheduling habit of putting those top items into the areas where you're the most energized in your day. All right, let's talk about number 4, learning to say no more often to demands that don't fit and support your highest priorities. Day in and day out, we're getting bombarded in today's fast-paced world with things to do. We get emails, we get texts, we get phone calls, we get people on our schedule, and being able to say no to the right things really can have a dramatic impact on our effectiveness day in and day out. So how do you deal with that? Well, first off, again, as we said, number 1, being clear on your high leverage activities, and then when things come in, do a check with yourself and say, should I say yes or should I say no to this? And I encourage you to really say no to the items that really don't fit in to your top priorities. All right, let's talk about number 5 for a minute, and that is leveraging your reading and studying by skimming articles, memos, and books. So many times, what do? We have all this information coming at us, and we get websites coming at us that we can go and study, and we get books that we can read, and we get articles and magazines and all these things coming at us, and we say, that's great information, but how do we really leverage it? Well, one of the things I like to propose is to commission team members or those around you, colleagues, to be able to read and summarize for you, to be able to highlight, to be able to sticky note, if you will, so that as you're glancing at things, you can save a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Oftentimes, even being able to trade reading, where one person will read one report, another person will read another, and being able to trade that with each other can really be valuable in saving each other time. So as well, as part of the inner circle, I'll be sending you out some of my own recaps. As you know, I read tons of books. My team and I study, and we bring those books down to the real core kernels, and we'll be seeing some of those recaps coming to you. I encourage you to look at them. They're 2- and 3-page clip note versions of some of the best books, some of the best research out there. So look forward to that. Let's talk about number 6, request from people who send you emails to prioritize and spell out the actions they are asking for you with clear bullets. So emails, you know, a big subject, a big time waster is not really being able to manage your emails effectively. And what I'd like you to do for a minute, if you would, is to go through and open up your phone, pause for a minute, open up your phone, and I'd like you to look at some of the emails you've been getting. And look at them and see if there's some inefficiencies coming at you from people that you work with. Maybe there's paragraphs, or maybe there's like 10 stories, and really you'd prefer to have bullets. And what I'd like to encourage you to think about doing is asking your colleagues or asking your subordinates that when they're sending emails to you, that they're very efficient with the way they send them. They send them more in bullet-pointed format versus paragraphs, that they really leverage the subject line, and that they're only sending relevant information to you. So you're really avoiding a lot of things coming at you. Again, saving a minute here, saving a minute there, and being more efficient with each and every email that you get. All right, number 7, write down or at least take a moment and think through your objectives before you make phone calls. Here's one that happens all the time I see where people miss this opportunity. Before they pick up the phone to dial, if you just take a few seconds and say, what do I really want to accomplish? Because you know what? A big majority of the time when you're dialing someone, you're going to get their voicemail. And if you're really not clear on the objectives, your voicemail can go on, and or your voicemail could be inefficient, and you have to end up making 2 or 3 calls back and forth, versus taking the time to say, what do I really want to accomplish? What's the actions I want to have happen? And then when you make the phone call, you're more effective if the person does answer, and you're more effective leaving your voicemail. And I think that's a really strong, simple little thing that we can do. Take just a few seconds and say, what do I really want to accomplish before you make that call? Number 8, ask the originators of a document to send you only the relevant information that pertains to you. And that includes voicemails, texts, emails, packages. Are you really limiting the way things come into your life? Are you really getting only the top items coming to you? Are you allowing yourself to be able to sort and have things sorted for you before things actually touch you? Can save you minutes every single day. Number 9, create and leverage a list often. Ask yourself several times a day this question: what's the best use of my time right now? Perhaps this is one of the most important pieces of this segment today, is to ask yourself this question. I started this as a habit years ago, and I found it to be extremely valuable. What's the best use of my time right now? And being able to look at my phone, look at my computer, look at my iPad, and look at the list and saying, hey, I've got an extra few minutes. So let's say something cancels or someone's early and you've got an extra 5 or 7 or 10 minutes, and then you can really take and put that time to really good use by saying, what's the best use of my time? Can I knock out an email? Can I knock out a text? Can I knock out a voicemail? Can I be able to type up something real quick? Being able to really constantly ask yourself that 5 and 10 and 15 times a day, what's the best use of my time, and taking a look at your list. Okay, so there you have it, ideas for being able to prioritize your time more effectively. And now we're going to move into the second of the 4 segments, that is procrastination. You see, all of us procrastinate. That includes you and that includes me. And what I'd like to say to you, what I'd like to propose is that not all procrastination is bad. Most is, but not all is. So I'd like to go through this for a minute, and then I want to talk about some specific distinctions. You see, procrastination has to do with how our self-talk, what we say to ourselves. Sometimes we might say some things like this to ourselves. We say, self, you know what? I can do that tomorrow. It really won't matter. I'll just do it a little bit later. I'll do it tomorrow. And that is bad procrastination if you literally have the time to get it all done or part of it done. What's better to say to yourself is, self, I've just got a few minutes now. Let me go ahead and dig in and get part of that done, if not all of it, and make it happen now. Or sometimes you might say to yourself, you know what? I just don't have everything just perfect, so I'll just wait on it. And well, waiting is really a bad deal. In most cases, we really don't want to wait. We really want to get into the habit of making things happen now with our time, maximizing every minute. Now, on the positive side of procrastination, sometimes legitimately you may need to be saying to yourself, self, I need to get some more information, some more details so I can make a better decision. And that is really good procrastination. If that's truly the way you need to do it, you need more information or you need more digest time so you can make a better calculated decision. But generally speaking, procrastination is a big opportunity for most people. Let's go through some ideas here together. Number 1, getting up X amount of minutes earlier every day can allow you to be more productive in your day. And sometimes that's just an extra 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. Instead of really trying to squeeze every bit of that rest minute out of your evening, sometimes that extra 5 or 10 minutes in the morning can really put you on the fast track to being more productive, allowing you to really get started and get the flow for the day. So think about that, getting that momentum going for you every day. Let's talk about number 2. By identifying and doing little things when you have open minutes, waiting or in between major tasks, you can gain extra minutes. So not procrastinating and wasting those extra minutes. So let's say that you're in a line and you've got 6 minutes before you're going to be at the front of the line. Well, do you have some things calculated in your phone? Do you have a file with you that you can really maximize those extra few minutes? I'm telling you, day in and day out, I look for every little way that I can take action now and be able to get things off my list. And I encourage the people that I coach to do the same thing. So bottom line, have materials, have files, have a system in place to be able to maximize every single open minute that you have in a given day. Number 3, making to-do lists and marking things off often helps you accomplish more and impacts your motivation to really go out and do things. We have a system in our organization where what we do is we encourage people inside our organization to put a little square or a little box next to the things that need to happen. And when everything gets done, then an X gets in that box as a completion. And it actually motivates you, showing that that got done. We also have a system where you put a slash if you started on something, and that shows that something's in motion. And then the third thing is if there's nothing in that box, that means it's a goose egg, that means nothing's happened. And you can see for yourself, have I procrastinated on that particular line item, and I really need to take action. So think about the X's, the slashes, and the zeros, and be able to really motivate yourself, keeping your list of things that you accomplish, because it inspires you to take action. Number 4, identify frequent tasks that you might have already procrastinated on, and performing them by jumping in. Now, this is one of my most impactful concepts around procrastination, and that's the concept of production before perfection. Being able to get things going, being able to say, you know what, I don't have all the pieces together, but I can start making things happen on it. And as I start to make things happen, then I see more detail, I understand different distinctions, I can grab more information, and I end up accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish in shorter amounts of time. I'm much more effective with my time if I really get that concept down of production before perfection. Now, I know you, like many people, may have that situation where you want things just to be just right or just perfect before you let go of them, or even before you get started. So let me encourage you, in order to maximize your effectiveness, really think about production before perfection. So here's an action I'd like you to take now. As we're completing this item number 4 here, production before perfection, go ahead and take a few moments right now, if you would, and literally write down or type up what are 3 or 4 things that maybe you've been procrastinating on. What are things that maybe you've said, hey, it's just not perfect, so I'm really not taking the action I should. So take a few moments and think about that, and then we'll start back. Let's go to number 5 now. Let's talk about being able to break things down by month, by week, by project, into smaller, more manageable parts, and then we'll weigh by getting small items complete. So you got a big project. Do you look at that project? You know, we were developing a project for a client of ours, an entire program on really how to present more effectively to get referrals. And one of the things we were putting together was a binder that we were going to use for the people attending. And so I'd asked my team to start putting pieces together that were going to be in the binder so that we could have a mock-up of it, so that we could put it all together, have it broken down, and starting with what? Starting with each of the different modules, then looking at the table of contents, then looking at the outline, and piece by piece we put it together. Then we line it all up into a full mock-up, look through it, add it to it, and then we'll duplicate it and be ready to perform. I ask you, are you doing that? Are you really taking bigger chunks, bigger projects, and chunking them down, breaking them down into smaller pieces? As simple as it sounds, so many people don't do that. Again, inching away and really taking action, not procrastinating, but maximizing every minute of your day. This helps fight the tendency to procrastinate negatively. All right, let's talk about stocking up on supplies, greeting cards, birthday cards. You know, maybe you procrastinate sometimes and you don't send flowers, or you don't send a note, or you don't send a card because it's not easy. And what I found, a big piece to the puzzle, is always be prepared and be ready. I mean, talk about looking at things in your drawers. If you got cards there, if you got notes, if you got stamps, if you got all your supplies ready to go, so you don't step back and go, oh, I don't have the card, so I can't send the card right now, or I don't have time to go to the store. Well, pre-buy cards, build your supplies, build an ample situation around you, kind of a whole arsenal, if you will, so you're really ready to take action on the things that you want to do day in and day out. Let's talk about number 7. Again, both negative and positive procrastination. And ask yourself in your own self-talk, as we're kind of moving into closure here, are you really saying the right things to yourself and really being positive with your procrastination? Or are you saying the wrong things, things that you need to change so that your self-talk allows you to be more effective with your procrastination? So now you've got it, 7 ideas to be thinking about. And what I'd like you to do is to pause for a minute as we're bringing this first half of time management into closure. And I'd like you to think about the things that we talked about under prioritization, and I'd like you to think about the 7 items that we just talked about in procrastination. I'm going to ask you to pause for a minute. I want you to look at your worksheets. I want you to look at all the items that we've listed out, and I want you to think about what are the things that you really need to take action on. Put a little flag next to them. Put a little star next to them. Maybe write yourself a little note. So go ahead and pause right now. So what I'd like you to end up having is this. Is in your phone, I'd like you to have a segment on time management. And I'd like you to have 4 different components, 1 on prioritization, 1 procrastination. And in our next module, when we go through the next module, we'll be covering organization and we'll be covering delegation. So you'll have a total of 4 components with about 2 or 3 actions or ideas or best practices that you'll want to deploy so you'll be more effective with your time. Today we're going to be talking about getting results in compressed time frame. And I want to talk for a moment about 5 specific things, areas that you may want to really get better results in. Let's take a look. Financially, leadership, communication, health, relationships. These are areas that most people really want to get better results in, and I'm assuming that those are areas that you want to work on as well. It starts with what you want to accomplish, what you want to share, what you want to experience, what you want to become, and of course, what you want to have. I'm asking you to really think about that as we get moving here. Get solid on what you want. Most people never have the awareness of what they really want or even take the time to dream. How about you? Are you really taking the time to dream, to get clear on what you want, what you really want to accomplish, the results that you want to make happen in your life? I've developed a mnemonic that I'd like to go over with you now. And I'd like you to think through for a moment really the things that you want. And then once we complete this, then we'll jump into the 10 specific things. So let's talk about what you want for a minute. Let's look at these. Significance, time, relationships, accomplishments, really thriving every day, engagement, great health, being inspired, and of course, cash or capital. And I want to go through each one of these with you for a moment as we're really thinking about how do we get more of what we want. Significance. Most people really want to have more of that in their life. We're talking about impact and meaning. What is really meaningful to you? Think about that for a moment. What is really, really meaningful for you in your life? Let's talk about time for a minute. Margin. I had a really great opportunity just a few months ago where I had a client in and we were talking about time. And she comes in from Canada about once a year. We sit down and we really dissect where she's going and really help her really be the best she can be. And she used a phrase, and the phrase she used was the word margin. And I thought it was a very interesting phrase because I really believe that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants more margin time. You see, so many people are operating their lives really full. And if you'll notice the cup on the screen, and you think about that for a minute as a metaphor for your life, and ask yourself, is your cup over full? Is it so much that you're operating at like 105% and you're pulling from other areas of your life just to try to keep up? And what I'm suggesting is most people really want to be able to have their time more effective, where they have more margin time, they have more flexibility, they have more leverage. Let's talk about relationships. Everybody wants to have great relationships with God, your spouse, your kids, your family, your friends, your business associates, even your customers, audience, and or clients. How smart are you in positively impacting your relationships? Is that something that you need to work on? Chances are there's an opportunity there for you. Let's talk about accomplishments. Goal achievement is not only just what you want to have, but what you want to experience, what you want to share, what you want to give, and what you want to become. I want to help you become more of who you really want to become. Let's talk about thriving. Thriving every day. Being able to flourish with energy, enjoyment, prosperity, and happiness. Something that we all want. Engagement. This is achieved by becoming absorbed and immersed in your work, your love, your friendship, and your leisure. A quote from the author of Flourish. Really being engaged. Really being able to get up and connect to your world. So next is great health. And that's something that we all want. We really want to go not just from great health, but we really want to go to ultimate health. And what I've been doing is researching for years now and really putting together a map to be able to help someone really understand what ultimate health is all about. Really looking at your mental management and your testing, and not just your exercising, of course that's important, but really looking at your lifestyle and looking at your stress and how you manage that and your resting and your immune system, and really being able to understand and manage your caloric intake, the solids that you eat, liquids that you drink, all the different components that really help you looking at your hormones, looking at your skin, looking at your toxins, and really managing all the components of really being able to have ultimate health. Being inspired, positive emotions, being energized, and then finally, cash or capital. And if you really think about that, cash flow, having reserves gives us a positive feeling, being able to give things away with philanthropy. Capital allows us to have financial security, more freedom, and the ability to do lots of valuable things for others. So what I'm proposing is this, is that almost any person watching this right now, including you, would say those are things that I would really want. So start dreaming. I started dreaming as a kid, and I got even more serious when I became a teenager. And I began my journey of defining what really I wanted at a young age. And I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter if you're young or old or in between. What matters is that you start with defining what you really want. And I want to encourage you today to do exactly that. Then and only then, you've got to take an inventory of what you are today in contrast to what you want to be. What's the real deal? So now, 10 things that you can do to accomplish more results in compressed time frames. That's what I want to go through with you. So get your pens out. I'm going to ask you to start writing. I'm going to go through these 10, and then at the end, I'm going to ask you to step back and rate yourself in each of these areas so that we can take action as a result of what I'm sharing with you today. So let's go through these. Number one, committing things in writing. If you opened up your phone right now and you lifted your phone up and looked at your memo or your task area, would there be things written in your phone that you said, those are things that I really want to get results in? Have you taken the time to utilize that tool to really write things down? Can you go to your journal and look at what you want to accomplish? Can you go to a binder? Can you go to lists? Can you look around you and say, have I really written things down to say, this is what I really want to accomplish? Something I encourage everyone to do. If you committed to writing, it really does help you advance and speed things up, being able to get things done quicker. Let's talk about visualization and really letting your subconscious go to work for you. I think so many people do not take the time to really put into their world things that help them visualize where they want to go. And you can see on the screen right now, what I've done is giving you an example of my vision board. What I help people do is I'm helping them really be their best, as I help them really get committed to building visual things around their lives so that they can really think about what they want to become, what they want to become as a family, what they want to become in their business. And you can see in the visual there that there's a piece on the left is my personal goals, on the right are things that I want to, that my wife wants, and in the middle is our kids, and together as a family, we've created that tool as a visualization tool to really help us zero in on what we want to accomplish, what I want to accomplish as a leader of our family, and what we want to accomplish as a family together. Think about for you, are you really putting things around to help you visualize what you want to accomplish? Number three is your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself right now? What are you saying to yourself as you're listening to me? Are you saying, yes, I need to be doing some of these things? Yes, I really can produce more? Or are you saying, well, you know, maybe that's good for Tony, but not for me? I'm asking you to really think about what you say to yourself, because it truly does have an impact on the results that you get and how fast you get the results. Let's talk about connections. I'd like to share with you a story. When I grew up, my father, I would watch him with his connections. I would watch him take business cards and he would stack them up, 10 and 20 and 30 and 50, and he'd put rubber bands around them. And I would see him from time to time, he would go make a phone call and he would go through that stack of business cards and he would get on the phone and he would call people and he would ask them about information. He would open doors. He would be able to get information that would allow him to be able to go and make things happen. And I was so impressed with that as I grew up, I said, wow, I really want to build my connections. And then as years grew on and technology came into play, I realized that not only could you take the business cards and really kind of keep up with them, as a lot of people don't even do today, but electronically being able to manage your connections so that you could have a couple of clicks and really be able to link in, if you will, to your Rolodex, to your personal Rolodex, to be able to make things happen. So that's something I encourage you to think seriously about. How well are you nourishing your connections, your relationships, so you can be able to make things happen? Insight, how things work, possible steps and options. Do you have a good coach? Do you have a good mentor? Do you have an informal board? Do you have people around you that are giving you insights that you can send an email out to, that you can make a phone call to, and that person can really, or that people can really give you insight to help you understand distinctions to be able to get to where you're going quicker? A lot of times people, they freeze up or they don't really reach out and connect and grab that additional insight. So I encourage you to do that today. Think about, are you really getting insights on where you want to go? Your own beliefs. I think the wrong beliefs really can impact the success that we have in life. So I ask you again to think about your own beliefs. What are the things that are really positive that you believe can happen? What do you, as you look back at your accomplishments and you say, hey, I did this and I didn't think I could do it, but I did this and I did this, and your beliefs start to form. They start forming at a young age, and I encourage you to really look at what are the things that are causing you and your self-talk and your belief to really go forward, and what are the things that are inhibiting you. Your beliefs really do matter. Team support. You know, when I bring executives in, I'm very fortunate to bring them in here in the studio from all over the world. And I sit down and I ask them the question about their team. And I say, how big's your team? And they go, well, what do you mean? And they start thinking about maybe they have an assistant or two, and maybe they have someone that's helping them with a certain area. And I said, no, really think about all the people that are on your team. and I start going over into different advisors and even into their dentist or their doctors, all the people that help them do life. And all of a sudden they go, well, I just thought I had 6 people. Now I got 11. Now I got 13, 17. And they start really realizing that there's a lot of team members that really help them do life. And I ask you to think about that for you. How big's your team? Have you really been nourishing the people around you that are helping you do life so that you can make things happen quicker? Really building a strong team really does matter. Tools, leveraging tools, research, video apps, notes on your phone. Are you taking and really being aware of all the tools that you can utilize to be able to make things happen quicker? You know, there's all kinds of great applications that are out today. Are you learning those applications? Are you grabbing insights from others so that you take and bring those tools in your life? I love taking the iPad as an example. When I see someone that's really humming with an iPad today, what do is I look around and say, hey, what are some of the applications that you're using? What are some of the tools that you have that you're really taking advantage of? And I look at those distinctions and I find the ones that can really work for me. And then what do? I bring those into my life so that I can leverage, so I can get things done better. Are you doing the same thing? Discipline action every day. When you get up in the morning, are you asking yourself, what are the things that I really need to do? And are you deploying your energy to really being able to zero in and focus on getting those things done? Taking action every single day really does have an impact on the results that we're getting. And finally, number 10, understanding your wanter. Now, I want you to really think about this word for a minute, something that perhaps you're not hearing a lot, and that's your wanter. What's really the benefit? What's really the price? What's really the possible loss? Are you thinking through how much you really want something? Are you thinking about the price it's going to take? And are you thinking about the loss that you may encounter if you do not take the action to really make it happen? I believe really getting clear on what you really do want has a huge impact on the results that we get and the time frames in which we get them. All right, now I got a little bonus for you, and that's the concept of alignment, the concept of intentional congruence, being able to really be intentional and congruent and alignment on all 10 of these items, making sure that there's not friction, that they're all working for the benefit for you. Now, here's where the action comes in. I'm going to put up the list here on the screen. I'm going to ask you to look at these with me for a minute, the 10 things that we just went over. And I'm going to ask you on a 1 to 10 basis, would you take and write down a 10 if you're really high and really utilizing this particular area, and a lower number all the way down to a 1 if this is something that you're really needing to work on. And I'd like you to pause for a moment, if you would, write these down, and I want you to list out, I want you to rate for yourself on a 1 to 10 where you stand in deploying each of these areas. Okay. Great. Now what I want you to do is to think about the ones that may be new to you or ones that you're really not deploying to the level you could. And I want you to type that, just like it says number 1 there. I want you to write down the things that you want to work on. So part of our action today is what? To bring our awareness of distinctions that can help us get results in compressed time frame, and then be able to zero in on the things that we're not doing as well as we could so we can really be our very best. So let me encourage you to really go out and become your very best.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending today. You guys, this is January 2015, and I really wanted to take time and share with you my mentor and coach, Tony Jeary's philosophy. We've got a lot of different training and strategy programs, and I think as we move into a new year, we need to be really, really focused and strategic about how we think, what we do, how we plan, how we prioritize, how we organize ourselves. So I wanted to introduce a couple of Tony Jeary's sessions to you. And if you're not familiar with him, Tony's a coach to the top CEOs, executives, and high achievers in the world. And we've been blessed to be working with him for many years now as a client and a coach and so forth. You guys, right now, we need to be narrowing down our 2015 plans. If you haven't done that yet, there's still time to be making modifications. If you think about strategic planning today versus 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I was in corporate, and when you created and designed your plan, you stuck to it for an entire 12 months, and there wasn't a lot of modifications. Budgets were set, resources were set, timelines were set, and so forth. Now we're in a time where that's not always the most effective way to create business plans surrounding your business. We have to be more strategic. We have to be more dynamic. We have to be more flexible, because consumers of our products and services, the philosophy, the way that they are doing research, making buying decisions, leveraging technology, utilizing different websites and social sites, the way that they navigate is changing, and it's changing rapidly. Therefore, our business plans or our strategic planning has to be as dynamic as the consumers that we're trying to reach. So I encourage you, if you haven't listened to last week's, which was our end of the year wrap up, this is the strategic planning session that we did on 12/29/2014, final one of the year. And we had a very, very kind of pointed list of things that we need to tap into in our strategic plan. So with your organizations, with your team members, and those team members may be people you report to, people who report to you, and as Tony mentioned, there are also strategic advisors that are on your team. Make sure that you're sitting down with those team members, and I would use this as a tool to be able to help you possibly incorporate some things into your business. There's always room for improvement. Every year, every month, every quarter, we need to be refining and reevaluating and refining what it is that we do. We need to be evaluating what we invested in last year. The things that work, we need to invest more into. The things that didn't work, we need to pull away from. What we don't want to do is keep repeating the same things that don't produce the kind of results that we want. We want to continue to figure out what are the areas that we can invest more resources, whether it's financial or whether it's labor and so forth, or whether it's time as far as your thinking, your planning, your execution. Those are our high leveraged activities. And the quicker that you figure out what your high leveraged activities are and you're able to say no to those things that are not high leverage activities, the more accelerated and rapid growth you're going to see within your organization, as well as within your life. So I encourage you, start off. If you missed this session, go back and watch this session. Again, it's 12/29/2014, so it's going to move down here on the ranks as soon as we add in today's session. But this is a critical time to be evaluating what your role is within your organization, what your goals are within your organization, what your personal contribution is to your organization, and how you can spend more time on high leverage activities that are going to help you accomplish your goals. I want to give you one example before we get out of here, and I think this is a really great example. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the Warrior Project. I love this. Gail Warrior has, this was a good example to me. Gail and her company recently invested a pretty significant amount of money to design and develop a website. And the website just went live about 30 days ago. And this is their current site. This is what was live. We did not design this site, but this is, she is a brilliant woman, very, very smart businesswoman. As we went through and analyzed her current website, most people, their mindset would simply be stuck in a position of, I just spent a lot of money on this. We just got done. It just went live, and so forth. And they would stick to the fact that they just finished this big project, even though it might not be designed properly or have the necessary design elements in order to be able to maximize or leverage its efficiencies. And you know, we get smarter and smarter and smarter every day as we learn new things and design new projects and so forth. But I love the fact that when we went through this website, what we did is we compared it to the best of the best of the best in the world. So we went through everything from Tiffany to Bugatti to BMW to Nordstrom to Neiman's and so forth. And really, when she identified her vision for this business is big. And it was very simple for her to remove a belief window that was stuck on, we just finished this, we invested a lot of money, it just went live, I'm going to go ahead and stick to this. And she instantly said, I want to improve it, and I want to improve it now. There's no point in waiting. So if you look at this site, this is an apparel line. And we'll just kind of go through. There's, it's a little bit difficult to see your bag, your shopping cart, your items, and so forth. As far as the navigation on here, we're missing the main areas, which are all the categories of clothing. Now, when you go onto Soma or you go to White House Black Market, what you'll notice along the top is that they have all of the different product categories that they have right along the top. So it's more about what the consumer's interested in, which is tops or accessories or jackets or pants and so forth. But we were missing that. So navigation, there were some challenges here, and we wouldn't have known that had we not taken the best of the best in her category and analyzed those particular sites. Then we went through, and we've got some kind of information. This is more about what's important to Warrior Elements than necessarily what's important to the consumer. Then we jumped into featured products. We only have 4 featured products on the front page. We've got some challenges with buttons and so forth. Then we scrolled down, we went into blog posts, and then we have, again, a footer area that doesn't necessarily bring those products to life. So I want to show you the difference. And these were some of the areas that we pointed out we thought would really help them increase sales, which is the ultimate goal. It's not just to inform people about the philosophy behind the business. So this is a redesign that we're working on. It's not done yet. But I want to kind of give you the difference. This is a really, really nicely designed website. When I look at a lot of websites, her current site that's live is much better than about 99% of the websites that I look at. However, when we presented the concept to her of a site that really brings her products to life, allows them to be dynamic and flexible, offer promotions, and we took the best of the best of the best elements and pieces from all of these different major powerhouse companies and got them inside a new design. So you've got accessories, bras, jackets, pants, shorts, tops, gifts, and so forth. So right off the bat, you know exactly what they do. Great use of promotions here on the sliders. Let me pull this back up. Then we instantly, one of the things they were struggling with is they didn't have a way to communicate new products when they came on unless they dropped it in a slider, but then you're stuck counting on a 3 to a 10-second turn time before somebody's going to see those products. So we created a dynamic area. This was actually taken from an area on the Tiffany website. They have a really, really nice way of displaying different products, different promotions, and so forth. So this area is completely dynamic. These can rotate, they can stand still, you can change them out. Then we immediately went into the Warrior Element, which you had to dig pretty far in here to really understand what the Warrior Element is, which is a concept of earth, fire, water, and wind. Then we move directly into Shop Online, and we want to bring this brand into the shopping experience. So again, the products related to earth, fire, water, and wind. Then immediately went into another product area, featured products, most popular, recently added, and sales that they may be having. So now we've increased this area to 8 featured products, and it's actually not 8 because we're using these tabs. It's actually 8 times 4 for each individual product. So you actually have over 60 products that can be displayed directly on the front page, depending on how people are sorting. Next, my mission, which is more of a motivational. We're asking people to participate in my journey. And then at the bottom, we've got our traditional navigation links. And then again, you've got an area to be able to check your cart and so forth. So what I'm saying regarding this is, I love the fact that they didn't hold on to the pride of, but I just finished this, or but I just invested in this, or we just went live. They were constantly looking for ways to improve and to gain the best results, and very, very open to looking at, let's go check out what the biggest and the best are doing. I think originally a handful of the competitor sites that were pulled as examples when this initial design was done were small companies who also sold primarily activewear, and that's what they were using as their judge as far as what their competitors were doing. They were looking at other small activewear companies, when the reality is that if your goal, that belief goes directly against what the goal is, and the goal was, I want to be like the big guys. If I want to be doing business in Nordstrom, or I want my activewear line to be, one of Nordstrom's top selling lines, similar to how Tommy Bahama took their product into Nordstrom and became the #1 men's product line in the entire store, you've got to bring and elevate your business, your presentation, your look, the perception around your brand or your business up to where you want to be, versus comparing it to others who may be on your block or the corner or the retail shop across the street. This often plays out when you're looking at advisors. Many times people will surround themselves with people who are just like them or where they are. I see a lot of the times in the HVAC conferences, I see people going to a conference and they're sitting down with their competitors who may be in the same bucket or the same size and so forth, and they're asking them, how'd you get there, or what are you doing, or how are you investing in marketing and so forth, and that's the input and the advice they have. So last example, and then we'll get you guys out of here so you can get busy. Gig Harbor Marina and Boatyard. I'm so excited about these guys. We speak a lot for marinas and ports around the nation. These guys contacted us this week. They said they were going to contact us at the conference. They have a new owner who just signed the dotted line and finalized all the paperwork yesterday, and it was absolutely amazing. The new owner of Gig Harbor has a tremendous background in business. He's built, bought, sold, and grown companies around the world multiple times. This is what he's good at. He's very experienced at jumping into a good business opportunity and absolutely remodeling that business in order to be able to achieve accelerated results in a very rapid time frame. So he definitely connected with our message at the conference, and I wanted to point this out. When we were on the phone with him yesterday, every element of the business he's analyzed, from the resources, the labor, what products and services do they currently sell internally, and they're staffing those services, to what makes sense to outsource or to leverage another talent. So there may be a maintenance crew that currently is staffed, and there may be a maintenance company that they're able to bring in and still make the money but not have all the risks because they're staffing those people, increasing their profit margins and so forth. So he's looking at everything from the solutions, the services, the physical appearance of the marina and boatyard. He's looking at the design and the branding. He's looking at what tools and technologies and systems, operationally, how are they effective? Financially, how are they effective? What kind of systems do they need supporting their operations, supporting their financials? How are they communicating with all of their tenants and so forth? From a design standpoint, the guy's smart. He came in, he said, I got your message, I understood it. I want to leverage technology to improve both my operational efficiencies and my marketing and sales efforts, and overall the communication with all of my external stakeholders. And he said, you know how to do it, so I'm not going to tell you what I need. You know I want to improve operationally, communications, sales, and marketing. Tell me what I need to get it done. And he asked, obviously asked an expert. Very smart. No holds barred. He knows exactly what needs to be done, and he's not going to wait. He's not going to procrastinate. He's not going to sit on the fence and say, we already have these things. It's operating okay. He is in this position to do a complete turnaround and bring this marina up to a destination resort style marina that will be recognized around the world, and we're going to help him do that. So if you look at this site compared to another site that we're designing right now, I just want you to see the difference. And visually, when people are coming to your website, or when they're looking at a banner you're posting on your social media accounts, or a banner or an advertisement you have in some trade show magazine, or whatever it is, visually somebody's making a decision on who you are, how professional you are, how big your company is, how well you're going to take care of them instantly, based on the perception of the quality of the design work. So if you look at this site and then look at this site, And if you were scrolling around, what is now this is a different kind of a website, but just kind of giving you an example from a layout, design, the visual appearance, which one is going to be visually more attractive. So as you guys are moving into a new year, I want you to think about every opportunity you have to enhance, improve, increase the visual representation of your business so that it becomes more attractive to those people who you're trying to reach, so that you can really, really be proud of the professionalism, the design and overall layout, and so forth of anything that you are presenting to the public. And this includes yourself. So with that, you guys, I hope that this session has been beneficial. It's been a little bit different, but I want to start introducing some of the training that I go through with Tony. I want to make sure and extend those trainings with you as well, and really be able to help you achieve accelerated results in 2015. With that, thank you so much. If you haven't registered for training and this is the first time you're seeing this video, then definitely go to 12steproadmap.com. You can click on sign up and register. We do have an entirely new series that is beginning. If you go on events, we have an entirely new series that's starting this year specifically for one of our a large industry that we represent, and that's going to be the HVAC industry. So what you'll see on the events calendar, you'll see that I believe it's the last Thursday of every month, and the events are not up yet, but you'll see we're having an HVAC dealer training program specifically for that industry. You guys are more than welcome. If you're in the contractor environment, I would say anybody can attend that. If you're a contractor in any way, shape, or form with any kind of product or service, then definitely, you're going to want to register for that series. But it's specifically focused on contractor solutions that deal with residential and commercial homeowners. So primarily focused on HVAC, but all contractors are welcome. All right, you guys, with that, definitely sign up, make sure you're registered for 2015. We had to start these sessions over on GoToWebinar. So if you are not sure if you registered, do it again, simply so you get notifications for the new year. And if you missed the wrap-up sessions we did in 2014, simply click on webinars and go to strategy. And once you're there, you'll be able to see the last probably 5 or 6 sessions that we did wrapping up 2014, and that's a great place to start this year. Thanks again. Hope you have a phenomenally productive week. And if you have any questions or you'd like to have a strategy session with myself, I'd be happy to do so. You can simply click the Contact Us button, register for a free strategy session, and we will help you really dig in and identify what some areas of opportunity are for you in 2015 and beyond. Thanks again.